Hello and good evening everyone, and welcome to yet another session of Law and Ethics. So yes, I can see my warriors again in front of me, all of you who are going to give the big battle and who are going to win the big battle on 5th of September. A very quick time check. Today we are sitting on 17th of August. Only and only 15 to 16 days left for your examination, guys. Give it your best shot. Do whatever you can to study as many hours as you can. Please study hard, because these last few days will be pivotal, will be very, very critical for your success in the examination. It doesn't matter in the past whether you've studied properly or not, doesn't matter. But those students who are going to utilize these last few days very, very effectively, they are going to make it to CMA Inter in the month of September itself, and hopefully the result of CMA Foundation would also come in the month of September itself, because it is an online examination. Last year also the result came quite early, so there's a hope that this year also the result will come very, very early. So yes, we'll be celebrating. Once you become CMA Inter students, we'll be celebrating at Bright Vision Academy. All of you are invited to Lakshmi Nagar Bright Vision Academy, and we'll definitely celebrate all of yours victory, and we will invite all of you with open arms in CMA Inter examination. So yes, work really, really hard. No Big Boss next season's watching, no Netflix, no England versus India match to be seen at this point in time. So please do not waste your time in any such things. Please employ all your time, dedicate all your energies towards only one goal, which is CMA Foundation examination. That's it. Right now, no wedding of your cousins or birthday parties or friends, anything and everything should be ignored at this point in time, and the only thing that should be focused on is your CMA Foundation examination. And guys, during the week, Intikhab sir has forwarded MCQs on the group. Those MCQs are very, very important. Please do those MCQs properly. Our faculties have drafted those MCQs in a fashion that those MCQs are taken from all the relevant material which has been provided by the Institute of Cost Accountants of India, and all the relevant material has been covered in those MCQs. Those MCQs do not contain any MCQs which are taken outside from the institute's reference materials. So everything which institute has prescribed, be it bit questions, be it the MCQs in your book, be it past examination MCQs, everything has been covered in those MCQs. So the MCQs which have been provided to you in the group, they are very, very, very important during your last few days of studies. So do not ignore those MCQs. Take a printout of those MCQs and try to cover those MCQs and revise those MCQs again and again and again. And I hope that almost 70 to 80% paper will be covered by those MCQs itself. I think, I feel, and I strongly believe that those MCQs will be very, very useful to all of you in your studies. So do not ignore those MCQs. If you have not got those MCQs, again message on that number. You will get those MCQs again in the group. They have been floated during this week. I think yesterday or day before yesterday it has been floated. So just do those MCQs very, very properly. So yes, today we are going to start one of the most important, the most important chapter of your syllabus, and this chapter is none other than Indian Contract Act. Indian Contract Act is the most important chapter of your syllabus, and Indian Contract Act holds about 40 marks, 40% marks in your examination. Almost 40 to 50% of your examination you will see from the Indian Contract Act, and Indian Contract Act is the most important act from standpoint of practical aspect as well, because contract is one such thing which is prevalent, which is there in every commercial world. In every commercial activity, the basis of every commercial activity is a contract. So contract is the basics, is the foundation, is the platform of any legal relationship that exists between two people. And why only legal relationship? Why only commercial relationship? Even you guys do some bit of contracting with your parents. So you tell your parents that look, if I clear CMA Foundation first attempt, then you are going to buy iPhone for me. iPhone I will take from you if I clear CMA Foundation examination. So you always say this to your parents, and your parents are also agreeing to your demands. So yes, this is also a kind of contract. This is a kind of contract between you and your parents. So contract is an arrangement or an agreement between two people in which two people agree to do something for each other. That is known as a contract in a very, very loose term, and contract becomes a basis of the any kind of relationship, commercial relationship which is there. Contract act becomes a basis of every relationship, every commercial relationship which is existing between two parties. So yes, any and every business decision, any and every business transaction, any and every business dealing starts with one word or starts with one thing, which is a contract. Therefore, it is very, very important to adjudicate, to carve out terms and conditions of a contract. Now, contract leads to litigation. Contract leads to fight. So you might tell your parents that, okay, if I qualify CMA foundation examination, then you will give me an iPhone. Now it was not agreed whether iPhone 7 was to be given, 8 to be given, 9 to be given, 11 to be given, or 12 to be given. So once you qualify your CMA foundation, your parents are saying, we are going to give you iPhone 6. And you say, no, that is too old. I want iPhone 12 Pro. I don't want iPhone 6. So now here comes the dispute. So there can be a dispute between two parties who have entered into a contract. Therefore, to resolve all the disputes which are arising between two parties, the Government of India or the law has prescribed certain standard terms and conditions which are to be followed by every person who is entering into a contract. So the Indian Contract Act 1872 comes into play only when there is a dispute. If there is no chance of a dispute, if you say that, no sir, this particular entity I am very comfortable with and I don't think there will be any dispute between both of us, good enough for all of you. You need not refer to Indian Contract Act. But Indian Contract Act will be referred to if you think that there will be any dispute in future, and if you think that you will legally sue another person in future, then Indian Contract Act and this law of contract will come into picture. So yes, let's start the most important topic of your syllabus, the most important chapter of your syllabus, the Indian Contract Act 1872. So first of all, section 2A, what do you mean by a proposal? When one person indicates to another his willingness to do or abstain from doing anything. Abstain means reluctance. Abstain means reluctance. Reluctance means I don't want to do anything. So proposal means when one person expresses his willingness to another person to do something or not to do something, then it is known as a proposal with a view to obtaining assent or acceptance of the other. He is said to make a proposal. So first essential ingredient of the Indian Contract Act is that there is a proposal, there is an offer and there is an acceptance. Okay, so this is a proposal. What is a promise? Proposal when accepted is a promise. So please remember this equation very, very carefully. Proposal when accepted is a promise. So when a person to whom proposal is made signifies his assent, assent means consent, which means he has agreed to it, or acceptance thereto, the proposal is said to be accepted. A proposal when accepted becomes a promise. So proposal plus acceptance is equal to promise. Then what is an agreement? Agreement means a promise along with a consideration becomes an agreement. So let us read the equation from the beginning. A proposal when accepted, it becomes a promise. But when it becomes an agreement, how does it become an agreement? It becomes an agreement when promise is accompanied with a consideration also. There is a consideration which is given by other party. So I'll give you an example. Okay, I propose that I will sell you my law and ethics classes. And you say, yes sir, we think you teach very well, so please sell us your law and ethics classes. This is a promise. This is a promise where I propose that I will sell my law and ethics classes to you, and you accepted that proposal that yes sir, please sell your law and ethics classes to us. You teach very well. It's a promise. But when in the next conversation I tell you that for my law and ethics classes I would charge 2000 rupees, that is an consideration which I will charge from you for this promise. Now, when promise is accompanied with consideration, it forms an agreement. So, only promise without a consideration is not an agreement. So, if your parents promise you that, okay, we will give you an iPhone, and you accept their proposal, it is not promise, unless until there is something in return which you also give to your parents. So something in return, that is consideration, should definitely be there in case the agreement is to be formed. Okay, sir. Sir, then what is a contract? A contract is an agreement which has a legal enforceability. So agreement has got two things. What are the things which are there in agreement? A promise and a consideration. That is what agreement has, a promise and a consideration. When an agreement is clubbed with legal enforceability, which means when legally the agreement can be enforced and you can go to law for enforcing that agreement, then it becomes a contract. So can you please tell me on your hands on your keyboards? So fastest finger first we are going to play. Let's see who gives the answer first. My question is, can you tell me, if your parents refuse you to gift an iPhone after you qualify CMA foundation, however they had promised that you will be given an iPhone after you clear foundation, can you legally sue them? Okay, Chirag says no, unenforceable. Gaurav says no, Madhu says no, Sakshi says no, Binoy says no, DS Gaming says no, Suman Bharti no, Aditya Khetan no, Shabnam no, Nikita no, Anshul no. Absolutely right. All of you are absolutely right. Since there is no intent to legally enforce that particular agreement, therefore it is not a contract. Can anyone tell me what is the name of this contract? What is the term which is used to name this contract? Can anyone tell me what kind of a contract is it? Name of this kind of a contract. It's a social agreement. Perfect. Domestic agreement. Social agreement. Perfect. Very good answer. Very good answer. It's a social agreement. Perfect. Awesome. Very good. Very nice. So yes, agreement, when it is equipped with a legal enforceability element, only then it becomes a contract. So agreement plus legal enforceability is equal to a contract. Now, what is the difference between an agreement and a contract? Agreement is defined under section 2E and a contract is defined under section 2H. Then an arrangement, usually informal. So agreement is an informal arrangement between two or more parties that is not enforceable by law. However, the contract is enforceable by law. There may or may not be any consideration involved. So sometimes the agreement is devoid of a consideration. Sometimes that also happens. Consideration is definitely involved if you want to make a contract. An agreement lacks legal binding. So legal binding is not there. You cannot enforce someone else to do something. You cannot force someone. Legal binding is not there. However, contract is legally binding on everyone. Every agreement need not be a contract, but all contracts are agreement. So all contracts will form part of an agreement. All contracts are agreement, but every agreement is not a contract. So all contracts are agreement, but every agreement is not a contract. Okay, now let us do one exercise, and again fastest finger first, your hands on the keyboard. Work out whether following obligation is legal or social. A, first of all, answer to A. Brother promises his sister an iPhone 11 on next Raksha Bandhan festival. Please tell me whether it is an agreement which is social or a legal agreement. One word answer to be typed by all of you. Yes, I've got answer. Binoy, Rani, Yash, Sakshi, Ayushi, Suman, Shivani, Nikita, Rishabh, Roshan, Apurv, Gaurav, Sohail, Akanksha, Shanmukh Priya, Sai Kiran, Megha, Aditya, Luni Roy, Vinaya, Prabha, Aman Gupta, Shruti, Abhishek Kumar. Perfect. All of you are absolutely right. Saloni, Aman, Anshul Yadav, Pooja, Lauvanthi, Samir, Ankush, don't write again and again. Suman, right. Saurav, perfect. Very good answer. Very, very good answer. Now part number B, part B. Reliance Industries pledges 100 crores for corona treatment related to facilities in other country. Is it a social agreement or a legal agreement? Is it a social agreement or a legal agreement? Okay, I can see lot of answers coming in, lot of answers coming in. Okay, most of you are writing legal, legal, legal. Some of you are writing social also. Most of you are writing legal, legal, social. Okay, Roshan says social, Sai Kiran says social, but rest all the students are saying legal, legal, legal. Vinaya says social. Okay, Suman Bharti says legal. Saurav, Nikita says social. Rakshit Patni says social. Prabha says social. Okay, the correct answer is that this is a legal obligation. It is a legal obligation because he has pledged. Pledged means he has committed that he will fulfill his commitment to provide corona treatment related facilities in the country. So this is not social. This is not social. When Reliance Industries Limited commits something on a professional front, on a business front, this is not social. This is a legal obligation. Legally, he is obligated to fulfill his obligation since he has pledged it. It is not a personal thing that he has done. So Mukesh Ambani, if he gives a commitment to his wife that I will buy you a sari worth rupees 50 lakhs, that is a social obligation. But when Ambani is saying that I will spend 100 crores for corona treatment, it becomes legal obligation. It becomes legal obligation. So answer is Reliance Industries Limited is giving a legal obligation. C, the real estate agent agrees to build commercial complex in next 2 years. Tell me, legal obligation or social obligation? I want the answers. Okay, everyone is saying legal, 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 legal. Perfect, perfect. All of you are saying legal. Perfect. All of you are saying legal obligation. Perfect. Amazing. Very, very good. Superb answer by all of you. Yes, it is legal obligation. All of you are absolutely right. And yes, Chirag Patni from Haldwani is also right. Legal obligation. Everyone is saying legal obligation. And yes, Looney Rao has changed the spelling of legal. She has written legal. Legal obligation. It is not legal obligation. It is legal obligation. All right. Next question is, Ram promises his friend Shyam to gift him a smartwatch on his next birthday. Legal or social? Okay, now comes social, social, social. Everyone is saying social, social, social. Okay. I want to catch hold of that person who says that this is legal. Sakshi Mishra has changed the spelling of social. Roshan Yadav is saying sokal. Rani is saying social. Okay, okay. Everyone is saying social. Anyone who's saying legal? Anyone who's saying legal obligation? This is legal obligation. No one is saying that this is legal obligation. Yes, you are absolutely right. This is a social obligation. This is not a legal obligation. This is a social obligation. You are absolutely right. So guys, now let's come on to agreements, the type of agreements. Agreements, if they become enforceable, then agreements become contracts if they become enforceable. And if agreements are unenforceable, then those agreements are void in terms of law. In eyes of law, they are void. Void means they do not have, they are not valid. They are not valid under law. Law will say, I don't recognize such agreements which are lacking enforceability. I will not recognize such agreements. So agreements which are not enforceable, they are not valid. So those agreements are void. Void means they are invalid in eyes of law. Yes, you as a person can be committed to those agreements, can fulfill the obligations which are given on you for those agreements. But in eyes of law, if you go to law, if you go to court, court will say, I do not recognize such agreement. It is void for me. It is invalid for me. So these agreements are void agreements. Now a very, very important question which is repeatedly asked in the examination, essential elements of a valid contract. Because if the contract is not valid, then even if you fight on that contract, the law, the High Court is not going to listen to you. They will close their ears like this. They will close their eyes like this. And they will close their mouth like this. They will become the three monkeys of Gandhiji. They will not hear you. They will not see you. And they will not speak. They will not. The court will be blind. The court will be deaf and dumb to such contracts which are devoid of the essential elements of a valid contract. So every valid contract should have these elements. If these elements are missing in a valid contract, then that contract is not valid and that contract becomes void. So let's read what are the essential elements of a contract. First of all, every contract should have the essential elements of an agreement. If a contract doesn't have an essential elements of agreement, then it is not a contract at all. So first condition is that offer and acceptance should be there. So two parties should be there. Then the terms should be definite, absolute and unconditional. The terms which are there of the agreement should be definite, should be absolute and unconditional. So an agreement between two people to buy, to fetch stars is not a valid agreement because it is not definite, absolute and unconditional. To fetch stars, it is, you are trying to do something which is impossible. Not a valid agreement, not a valid contract. And third is lawful consideration. Lawful consideration. So if suppose Chirag Patni, who is one of the CMA Foundation students, is trying to bribe the teachers of Bright Vision Academy, and Chirag Patni is telling teachers of Bright Vision Academy that, dear teachers, I will pay you a certain sum of money. You please, during our examination, be by my side, and whatever questions I ask you, you please give me answers to those questions. This is illegal. This is absolutely not legal as per court of law. So the consideration should also be lawful. Whatever is being paid in respect of the promises, that should also be lawful. So lawful consideration should be there. So some people would offer something like, if you do this, if you sell your house to me, then I will make your enemies suffer. I will break bones of your enemies. This is a unlawful consideration. So your consideration should be lawful. Consideration should be in terms of money or in terms of bullion, in terms of any check or something like that. So lawful consideration is an essential element of an agreement. Then free consent. This is a very, very important aspect. Free consent. Consent means agreement. Consent means agreement. So if you tell me, sir, I want to, so I tell you that please buy my law and ethics classes, and you tell me, yes sir, we are ready to purchase your law and ethics classes, but sir, we will buy it in the next year because this year our exams are over, so we will buy it for our younger brother. We don't want it right now. But then I force you to buy my law and ethics classes despite the fact that they are not useful to you. I force you. If I force your consent, then that is not a free consent. Hence the contract between both of us is not a proper contract. So any contract which is caused by coercion, undue influence, fraud, misrepresentation or mistake, these are the 5 things which is not permissible as per the Contract Act. If the consent of other party is taken by coercion, coercion means zabardasti, force. Coercion means force. Undue influence. Influence means because of my power, because of my position, I am trying to suppress you. Fraud means I lie to you. I lie to you that I will sell direct tax classes to you, and I have sold law classes to you. If I lie to you, if I do fraud with you, or I misrepresent fact, I tell you that okay, the classes will be valid till next 2 years, and classes are not valid till next 2 years. They are valid only for 6 months. If I misrepresent facts, or I do a mistake, I commit a mistake, I mistakenly give you law classes instead of direct tax classes. So if your consent is given to me by any of these 5 elements, then that consent will not be a free consent, and hence the contract will not be a valid contract. So the consent should be a free consent, then only the contract will be a valid contract. Then parties are competent. So you need to make sure that both the parties who are agreeing for a particular contract, they should be 18 years of age. They should be of sound mind. Sound mind means they should not be lunatic. They should not be idiot. They should not be of unsound mind. They should not be disqualified from contracting by law to which he is subject. So any other disqualification which is given by law to him, that should also not be there. So 18 years of above age, minors are not allowed to contract. Sound mind, he should be of sound mind, and he should not be disqualified from contracting by any law which he is subject to. Example, insolvent. If a person is insolvent or if a person is criminal, then even if he is above 18 age and even if he is of a sound mind, he is not allowed to enter into a contract. So parties must be competent, parties must be well equipped with the necessary elements. Legality of object. This is a very important part of your contract, that the object for which contract is made, that should be legal. So Chirag Patni is trying to force the teachers of Bright Vision Academy to go to the Institute of Cost Accountants of India and steal the question papers of CMA Foundation September 2021 attempt. Stealing question papers from an examining authority is an illegal task. So the object of this particular contract is illegal. So this contract is not legal. The object is illegal. The objective, the purpose for which the contract is created should be legal. Then there should be intention to create legal relationship. I just gave you an example. If you don't want to sue your mother and father when they don't give you iPhone, that is not a legal relationship. Okay. So there has to be a legal relationship whenever contract is envisaged. A social relationship or relationship due to love and affection is definitely not a legal relationship. So in case it is not a legal relationship, it is not a contract. So Mr. A committed committed Miss B that I will marry you. Mr. A committed Miss B that I will marry you. This is not a legal relationship. It is not a legal relationship which has been created between the two parties. Therefore, it is not a valid contract. Agreements not expressly declared void. So guys, there are certain agreements which are declared by Indian Contract Act to be void. Those agreements, even if they have all the essential elements of agreements, even if they are offer acceptance is there, definite lawful consideration is there, free consent is there, parties are competent, object is legal, legal relationship there, even then those agreements which are expressly declared void, which means the agreements which the Indian Contract Act is saying you cannot enter into those agreements are not valid contracts. So an agreement in restraint of marriage is void. So if you do an agreement with someone that you will not marry that other person, that agreement is void because it has been expressly declared as void as per the Indian Contract Act. So agreement not expressly declared void to be void. Then the terms of the agreement must be certain and capable of performance. Certain means you have to objectively write in the contract what is to be done. If you give some uncertain goal, then that is not a valid contract. So I'll give you an example. A contract for buying rice is not certain. A contract for buying 10 kgs of rice is certain. Repeat. A contract for buying rice is not certain. A contract for buying 10 kgs of rice is certain. So certainty should be there in the contract and capability of performance. So many students, many boys in this group, girls please beware, many boys in the groups would commit to girls that we will fetch stars for them. No, it is not possible. This is not capable. It is not capable to fetch stars from stars and give it to someone. So it is incapability. Since it is incapability, the contract is not a valid contract. So soon as any boy tells you that we will fetch star from you, you say it is a void contract, it is an invalid contract. Please don't mention about this contract ever again because it is not a valid contract. So capability of performance should be there. Then legal formalities. Guys, whatever legal formalities are required to be done in a particular contract, those should be done. For example, insurance contracts should be made in writing. Okay, since insurance contracts should be made in writing, legal formality of writing that contract should happen before the contract is entered into. Rest all the contracts, there is no requirement that all the contracts should be in writing. But yes, it is always recommendable that any contract, commercial contract should be in writing because legal enforceability is hampered if the contracts are not in writing. Because how will you prove that the particular term was agreed between you and the other party? If you want to prove this, then writing should be an essential element of almost all the contracts. Okay, but as per law, insurance contract cannot be in oral, cannot be in verbal format. It has to be in writing. So in that legal formalities of a particular contract should be taken good care of. Okay, types of offer: express offer or implied offer. Express offer means offer which is made in words. Implied offer means which is inferred, which is understood. Inferred means understood, which is understood by the conduct of the person. So for example, if you go and stand on a bus stop and a bus stops in front of you, that means it is understood that bus is offering you to board the bus. So that is an implied offer. Okay, so implied offer means by way of gesture the person is offering you. So express an implied offer. Implied offer is offer which is to be inferred or understood by the conduct, and express offer is offer which is expressed in terms of words. Second, offer an invitation to offer. Now this is a very important distinction, guys. Offer an invitation to offer. So whenever you go to a shop and you see you go to a restaurant and see their menu card. So menu card is not an offer. Menu card is just an invitation to offer. There can be a situation where you say that, okay, in the menu card I find this idli vada very good. Idli vada combo. Idli vada combo is very good in your menu. Please give me idli vada combo. The waiter is going to tell you ille. Ille means no, idli vada is not there. So this can happen. Okay. So the menu card which has been given to you by the restaurant owner, that is not an offer. It is an invitation to offer. It is an invitation to you that please give me an offer. What do you want? And then I will decide whether I accept your offer or not. So the catalogs, the menu cards which are given to you by the restaurants and hotel owners, they are invitation to offer and not offer. Even the advertisement for sale of goods is an invitation to offer. Auction, quotation, catalogs, all are invitation to offer and not offer. Then offer can be specific or general. So offer can be made specific, which means offer can be made to a particular person, or offer can be made to general public at large. To everyone offer can be made. So if offer is made to everyone, general public at large, that is known as a general offer. And if offer is made to a specific person, then that is a specific offer. Now again, a very important concept of your syllabus, revocation of offer and acceptance. So guys, once I make an offer and I feel that I have made an incorrect offer and I want to revoke that offer, is it possible? And secondly, if someone has accepted my offer and that other person realizes that the offer is incorrect, that acceptance is incorrect, I didn't want to accept that offer, so can that acceptance be revoked? So two questions are being deliberated over here. Number one, can an offer be revoked? Question number two, can an acceptance be revoked? Answer to both the questions is a yes. Yes, offer can also be revoked. Yes, acceptance can also be revoked. But till what time? Till what time the proposal can be revoked? So let's read. Proposal may be revoked at any time before communication of its acceptance is complete as against the proposer. So a proposal can be revoked at any time before the communication of its acceptance is complete as against the proposer. So if a proposer makes a proposal, then that proposal can be withdrawn till the time acceptance is complete by the other party. I'll give you a simple example. A proposes by letter sent by post to sell his house to B. B accepts the proposal by letter sent by post. A may revoke his proposal at any time before or at the moment when B posts his letter of acceptance. Now please understand this concept well. A proposes B to sell his house. B accepts the proposal. So till the time B accepts the proposal, till that time A can revoke the offer, but not after the proposal has been accepted. Because once proposal is accepted, it is no more a proposal. Once proposal is accepted, it is no more a proposal. It becomes a promise. So proposal will remain a proposal only till the time it is not accepted. So till the time proposal is accepted, till the time B posts his letter of acceptance, the offer can be revoked, the proposal can be revoked. Once B posts his letter of acceptance, even if it does not reach A, but B has accepted the proposal, okay, then acceptance is deemed to have taken place, and then offer cannot be revoked. If B has accepted the offer, offer cannot be revoked. Now my question to you is, and your hands on the keyboard, fastest finger first. Yes, let's see who can give the right answer. Mr. A offers Mr. B to sell his house. Mr. B looks at the offer of Mr. A, folds that offer and keep it in his pocket. When the offer is in pocket of Mr. B, Mr. A revokes his offer. Can A revoke his offer when the offer has been read by Mr. B? Mr. B has read the offer. Can A revoke the offer when B has read the offer? Only reading the offer was relevant. And one more fact. Mr. B in his mind has decided that I will accept the offer. I repeat, Mr. B in his mind has decided that I will accept this offer. This is a brilliant offer. I will accept this offer. Mr. B has determined it. Please tell me whether this offer can be revoked or not. A can revoke, two can't revoke. Sai, both the answers. Wow. Sai is saying both the answers. Can revoke and can't revoke. I repeat the question. A offered Mr. B to sell his house. Mr. B, after reading the offer, is clear in his mind, is saying, yes, I want to accept this offer. Yes, I want to accept this offer. This is a brilliant offer. Mr. B has decided in his mind that he will accept this offer. It is sure in Mr. B's mind that he will accept the offer. But as of now, Mr. B has kept the letter in his pocket and had done nothing. Can A revoke his offer? Yes or no? Only write yes or no. Write yes or no. Okay, Rohan says yes, Vinaya says yes, Shivani says yes, Suman, Sumit, Abhishek says yes, Roshan says no, Yash yes, Ritik yes. Where is Chirag Patni? Chirag Patni, what is your answer? Sai says no, Akanksha says yes, Salman says yes, Prabha yes, Vidhi yes, Binoy yes, Madhu yes, Looney yes, it is not communicated. Rishabh yes, Tanmay yes, yes, everyone, you are absolutely right guys, you are absolutely right. Barring Roshan Yadav has said no. Roshan Yadav is wrong. Gaurav Sharma is wrong. Chirag Patni is wrong. Chirag Patni, how can you be wrong? Chirag Patni is saying no. Chirag Patni, you meet me in Bright Vision Academy, then I will treat you. You need some treatment. I will treat you. So yes guys, unless and until B communicates his acceptance, whether acceptance reaches A or not, it is a different thing. But just having this in your mind that I will accept the offer does not lose the right of the A for revoking the offer. So if B has decided in his mind that he will accept the offer, then also A can revoke the offer. But if B writes that I accept the offer and posts it to A's address, then A cannot revoke the offer. So B has to do something to communicate his offer, to communicate his acceptance. Only then A will not have the power to revoke his offer. If B decides in his mind that he will accept the offer, then A can revoke the offer at any time, Absolutely, you are right. And I know you have studied law very, very well. Therefore, everyone is right. Now, let us come to acceptance. When can acceptance be revoked? So, suppose B has accepted offer of A and B has dropped the letter to the letter box that yes, I accept this offer of A of buying his house. But then B realizes, oh, I made a mistake. This is a mistake. I made a mistake. Oh my God. I have to revoke the offer. What is the timeline allowed for revoking the offer, revoking the acceptance which Mr. B has get? What is the timeline of revoking that particular offer? An acceptance may be revoked at any time before communication of the acceptance is complete as against the acceptor. So let us understand it by an example. B may revoke his acceptance at any time before, at the moment when the letter communicated reaches A, but not afterwards. So when the letter of acceptance reaches A, till that point in time, the the acceptance can be revoked, otherwise the acceptance cannot be revoked. So when the letter communicating it reaches A, when the letter reaches A but not afterwards, when the communication of the acceptance reaches A, till that time B can revoke the acceptance. After that B cannot revoke the acceptance. Now my question, fastest finger first. Your fingers on your keyboard, fastest finger first. Listen to the question carefully. B post his acceptance in favor of A. B post his acceptance in favor of A. Letter reaches to Mr. A. Letter is kept at the desk of Mr. A. Letter is kept at the desk of Mr. A. But Mr. A does not see the letter for next 5 days. Mr. A does not see the letter of acceptance for next 5 days. My question to you is, can B revoke his acceptance during those 5 days? Yes or no? Can B revoke his acceptance during those 5 days? Yes or no? Perfect, perfect. This is what I wanted to know. Yes, 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 yes. Everyone is saying a yes. Absolutely. Very good. Very good. Very good. Brilliant. Everyone is saying a yes. Brilliant. Oh, Elizabeth says no. No, Elizabeth. Your answer is incorrect. Guys, Queen Elizabeth is with us. Okay, yes, yes, yes. Absolutely fine. Absolutely wonderful. Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. I think and I hope and I pray that all the 80+ percenters will be from this particular group. All the people who will obtain 80 marks and above will be from this group. I know that. I am very sure about that. हाँ रोशन बिल्कुल रानी है लंदन की. रोशन अगर कोई वो होता है ना, कोई जोक होता है तो रोशन बहुत एक्टिव होता है एकदम. वेरी नाइस, वेरी गुड, वेरी वेरी नाइस. ओके, लेट्स मूव ऑन. Capacity to contract. So capacity means capability, competence और क्षमता. क्षमता मतलब ability to contract. So who can do a contract, who cannot do a contract. So any person who is a minor is incapable of contract. Any person who's of unsound mind is incapable of contract. And any person, there is some other restrictions also. Any person of unsound mind, minor, or a person who's disqualified from contracting by some law. This is other disqualifications. They cannot enter into a contract. Now, what are these other disqualifications? Other disqualifications means alien, enemy. Now, what do you mean by alien? Does alien means jadoo? What is the meaning of alien over here? Does alien means jadoo? Yes or no? I want in chat box. Yes or no? Does alien means jadoo? I hope you know jadoo. Jadoo is the alien who's there in Krish. Have you seen Krish? Krish. Jadoo is with Hrithik Roshan. So alien means jadoo. Answer is no. Alien doesn't mean jadoo. Yes, koi mil gaya. No. Alien doesn't mean jadoo. Alien means a person from another country who is an enemy country to us. In today's scenario, please tell me one country's name who has suddenly within 1 week becomes alien with many countries of the world. Which one country in last 1 week has become alien with many countries of the world? Right, Afghanistan, or now its name has changed to Islamic Emirates of Afghanistan. IEA is the new name of Afghanistan, and yes, within last 1 week, Afghanistan has become alien enemy of entire world. Many countries have become alien enemy with him. So the embassies of many companies have been withdrawn from Afghanistan because Taliban has acquired Afghanistan, and Afghanistan has become alien enemy of many countries of the world. So yes, that is the correct answer. Very good. Then next, foreign sovereign and ambassadors. So foreign sovereign and ambassadors are not bound by any contract. You cannot sue foreign ambassadors through any contract. They are not bound by any contract. Then a person who's convicted cannot enter into a contract, who's undergoing imprisonment. So a person who's undergoing imprisonment, he cannot be convicted. He cannot enter into a contract. Insolvent means bankrupt. Than Gopal. If a person is insolvent, then he cannot enter into any contract. A contract entered into by a corporate body or a statutory body will be valid only to the extent of its MOA or AOA. So guys, MOA and AOA means the bylaws, the regulations which under which a particular company is established. So you will read company law in near future in your CMA Inter. There it is written that every company would do work which is given in their MOA. Company cannot do any other work which is not given in MOA. So MOA means Memorandum of Association. So a company will do work only which is written in its MOA, only the work which is written in its article of association. So if any contract is made with a company which is beyond its MOA and AOA, that contract which will be illegal or void. Then drunken person, a person who drinks a lot, a person who's intoxicated by any intoxicating material, that person will also be not be able to contract till the time he becomes intoxicated. So once his hangover is out, once his drunkenness is over, then he is eligible to make the contract. But once his drunkenness is there, when he is out of his mind, then he cannot enter into a contract. Okay, legal effects of agreement with minor. Now the best part of being a minor is that a minor can sue, but a minor cannot be sued. Please understand my words very, very carefully. A minor can sue, but a minor cannot be sued. I'll give you an example. A minor child promised to another person that I will sell my property to you. So there was some property which was held by a minor. Minor was owner of that property, and minor told the other person that okay, I will sell my property to you. The other person told the minor that okay, if you sell me your property to me, I will give you my property. So property exchange was happening. Other person would give property to minor. Now what happens is, once the agreement was entered into, minor did not fulfill his commitment. Minor did not give property to the other person. Now the question is, can minor claim property of other person? Question is, minor did not give his property, but can minor claim property of another person? Please write in a chat box yes or no. Yes, answer is yes. You are absolutely, all of you are absolutely right. So minor can sue, but a minor cannot be sued. So minor can snatch away its rights, but minor cannot be obligated to perform his rights. No obligation can be imposed on a minor. So please, all of you who are below 18 years of age, now please don't go to your parents and say that okay, you cannot force us to do anything. You cannot force us to do anything. We are minors. No agreement is applicable to us. So we need not fulfill any of our obligations. We are not studying. You cannot force us to study because we are minors. Don't say that, because you will get a slap, and no law in this world will be able to rescue you out from the slap. Or sometimes, you know, the footwear of the parents are also used instead of slap. So those footwears, no law in the world will be able to save you from those footwears. Okay, so don't try to use this language with your parents. It will not. Flying chappal, yes, Chirag, you're absolutely flying chappal is the right name. So you will not be able to escape. Okay, don't come to me then that sir, we applied the same formula with our parents, but they are saying no, you are bound by our agreement. No, don't use that over there. I cannot help you out with that situation. Agreement with minor is void ab initio. Void ab initio means invalid. It cannot be put to a court decision, so it is invalid. Law of estoppels doesn't apply against minor. It means minor can always plead his minority despite earlier misrepresenting to be a major. So if a minor tells you that okay, I am a major, and because of his misrepresentation you entered into an agreement with the minor thinking that he is a major, tomorrow you cannot tell the court that fraud has been done against me, I didn't know that he was a minor. You cannot do that. Minor always is out of law of estoppel. So minor can always say that I was a minor then also, I was a minor now also. Even if I misrepresented, even if I did fraud, I cannot be held liable. Minor cannot be held liable in any circumstance. Even if minor does fraud, he cannot be held liable. Doctrine of restitution doesn't apply on a minor. So restitution means restoration of something lost or stolen to its proper owner. So if minor snatches away something from you, you cannot claim that particular thing back from the minor. Okay, so doctrine of restitution is not applicable in case of minor. No relief can be granted in case of restoring the damages which has been done by the minor on other person. Minor will not repay anything for the damage. So now you will wonder that, sir, while playing cricket we had broken a lot of window panes of our neighbors. Sir, that was not repayable. No, that was not repayable. By law, minor is not required to make good any loss that he does. Minor can do any loss, but he is not required to repay that loss to anyone, minor. So now, please do not do this silly thing that tomorrow you play cricket in your colony and you break all the glasses and then you tell that my sir has told that minor is free from any reimbursement of damages. No, don't do that, because you will be in a big soup then, okay. No ratification on attaining majority. Now this is a very, very important aspect, guys. Ratification. Ratification means doing good. Doing good. Okay, what happens is now that minor enters into an agreement with another party, and minor was minor at that point when agreement was entered into, but subsequently after minor became major, he in that agreement wrote below that, okay, now I am a major, I am holding this particular agreement as good in my name. Repeat, let me repeat my example. Minor was a minor, he entered into an agreement with a third party. Minor became a major after a few days. After becoming a major, he wrote on that particular agreement that from now onwards I am a major, and now this agreement becomes good because now I am a major and I am holding this particular agreement as good. No, not valid. Agreement entered into between a minor is always invalid. So what should you do if you become a major? You should re-enter into an agreement. Old agreement should be torn off, it should be thrown away, it should be discarded. The old agreement should be thrown off. You should enter into a new agreement when you become a major. You should not try to make good the earlier agreement which you had entered into when you were a minor. You cannot make good the earlier agreement. Okay, so no ratification on attaining majority. You cannot make things good after you become major. You have to scrap the old things, you have to start afresh. Contract beneficial to minor. So if any contract is beneficial to minor, minor can always take benefit of that contract and minor can always sue you. Minor as an agent. Minor is not personally liable for any of his acts. Okay, so minor cannot be made liable even if he's made an agent. He cannot be made liable for his acts. So sometimes what happens is, it used to happen a lot with me. My mom used to tell me that, Nikhil, please go and give this particular sweet to your Mausi. My Mausi used to say near to my house. Okay, soon as I was traveling during my home to my Mausi's home, I used to finish half of the sweets. So my Mausi used to receive half of the sweets. Now when my Mausi used to talk to my mom said that I sent whole of the sweets, but where were the rest half gone? So rest half were eaten by me. Rest half were eaten by me. So my mom was the principal. I was an agent. I was an agent. But a minor as an agent cannot be held liable for whatever chori, chakari and makari which he does. So minor is not personally liable for his acts. So if you are an agent and you are a minor, even if you do against the will of your principal are your parents, if you do anything against will of your principal as an agent, you are free to do whatever you want to, but legally you will not be reprimanded, you will not be legally sued. Minor's liability for necessity. So if minor is given some necessity things by any major during his minority, then after attaining majority, the other person cannot say that I spent this much on you, please give it back to me. Minor's liability for necessities. So if minor has been, his necessities are being fulfilled by some other person, tomorrow that person cannot say to minor, I gave you these necessities when you were minor, please repay the things to me. You cannot say this. Minor cannot be personally be made liable, cannot be held personally liable for the necessities which was supplied to minor. But yes, if minor has some property, then that property can be taken into consideration while giving this particular while extracting the necessities from the minor. So minor cannot be held personally liable, but minor's properties can be held, minor's properties can be rescued for claiming the necessities. A minor cannot be adjudged insolvent as he is incapable of entering into a contract. So minor cannot be bankrupt. Okay, minor cannot be bankrupt. Where minor and adult jointly enter into an agreement with another person, the minor is not liable and the contract can be enforced against the major person. So if minor and one more person enters into an agreement with third party, so these two enter into an agreement with third party, the third party can sue the major, but third party cannot sue the minor. The third party can sue the major, but third party cannot sue the minor. So that is the logic. Okay, sir. So now let us move on to the next aspect, and the next aspect is very, very important aspect, guys. Types of contracts. What are the types of contracts? There are different types of contracts. This chart gives a snapshot of different types of contracts, and yes, this chart is there in the notes which have been provided to you yesterday, so you need not take screenshot of this chart. So this chart enumerates the types of contracts. Whatever types of contracts are there, this chart has all those types of contracts, and it is really, really important to learn all these type of contracts and know what are the significance of each one of them. Okay, so let us start the types of contracts. Okay, types of contracts on the basis of enforceability in law. So contracts which are valid contracts are enforceable in law. Contracts which are void agreements, they are not enforceable by law. Contracts which are void contract, they are also not enforceable by law. So void agreement means the essential elements of agreement was not there, which means it was not made between two parties, or it was not made with a prior consent of another party. That is a void agreement. Void contract means at agreement stage it was valid. Agreement stage it was valid, but soon as it was entered into in a contract, which means when consideration came into picture, then consideration was illegal. Then that agreement was valid, but contract was invalid. Agreement was valid, contract was invalid. So this is a void contract. Voidable contract. Voidable contract. Voidable contract means the contract which is voidable at option of one of the parties. I'll give you an example. Okay, so Mr. X entered into a contract with Mr. Y. Mr. Y did not fulfill the conditions which were given in the contract. So ideally this contract should be void because Mr. Y did not fulfill the necessary conditions. But Mr. X decided that I will not make this contract void. I will give an opportunity to Mr. Y to make good the condition which he did not perform well. In this case, the contract was voidable at the option of Mr. X, but Mr. X did not exercise his option of voiding the contract. So voidable contracts are contracts which are void, but one of the parties is saying, no, I don't want to treat these contracts as voidable. It's okay, even if the other party has done something wrong, it's okay. I don't want to treat this contract as void. So voidable means a contract which is void at the option of one of the parties, but that party has not exercised this option to make this agreement void. That is voidable contract. In future, the other party may exercise the option to treat this contract as void. Unenforceable contracts, contracts which cannot be enforced in court of law because of some technical defects. Until technical defects are removed, these kind of contracts are not enforceable. So guys, sometimes our names are written wrongly in a particular contract. Okay, that is a technical defect in a contract. So my name is Nikhil Gupta, but while writing the contract, drafting the contract, the N was misplaced and I was there. Ikhil Gupta was written in the contract. So there is a technical defect in this contract. Therefore, it becomes unenforceable. Soon as this technical defect will be rectified, this contract will become enforceable. Then last but not at all the least, illegal contracts, which means if you do something which is against law, that is an illegal contract that is not allowed as per law. Then based on method of formation, formal contracts and simple contracts. So guys, this distinction is not present in Indian law. This distinction is present in English law. In English law, the contracts which are executed in a proper formal format, which is given as per the English law itself. Repeat, the formal format which is given in the English law itself. If a contract was entered into using that formal format, using those important things like stamping of a contract, how should stamping be done, how should this should be done, that should be done, all those formal things were applied as per the English law. Those contracts were known as formal contracts, and contracts which were not doing those formalities, those heavy formalities, those contracts were known as simple contracts. So this distinction is not very important from India's standpoint, but this distinction is important from English law standpoint, because in India only simple contracts are under vogue, under preference. Based on extent of performance, so executed contracts, contracts in which performance has already been completed. Executory contracts, contracts in which performance is yet to be performed. Then based on obligation, unilateral contract. Unilateral contract means contract which imposes obligation only on one party. The other party, there is no obligation. So for example, if I tell you that I tell public at large that my dog has been lost, I will pay 10,000 rupees to whosoever who will bring my dog back. So the other party has not promised that he will bring the dog back. He has not promised. He will try. But you have promised that if the dog is back, then you will pay 10,000 rupees to him. So the promise is only from one side. If the promise is only from one side, it is known as unilateral contract. However, when the promise is from both the sides, so you go to a shop and you tell them, I want a watch from Titan. They say, yes sir, we have a lot of watches from Titan. Tell us which watch do you want. You pay us money and we will give you a watch. Now this is a bilateral contract where the shopkeeper has promised you to give the watch and you have promised the shopkeeper to give money. So this is a bilateral contract. Now there are multilateral contracts, which means many parties are involved in these contracts and many parties give a promise to each other to fulfill the terms of the contracts. They are known as multilateral contracts. Then on the basis of mode of creation, how is the contract created? Mode of creation. Express contracts, contracts which are created in terms of words, they are known as express contracts. Implied contracts, words are not used in a contract, that is an implied contract. For example, you board a bus, you buy a ticket, you sit and you go to your destination. No words are used in this contract, but this is an implied contract. Then third kind of contract, which is a recent contract, is e-contract. E-contract means a contract where terms and conditions are electronically agreed between two parties. So you must have seen, whenever you download an app, there are terms and conditions and you don't even read them and you just tick on I agree and then you create an account. Okay, that is an e-contract. This is the latest version of contracts which have come into foreplay. Otherwise earlier there were only these two types of contracts, but now e-contract is also an essential part of contract. Okay, contract which is void versus contract which is illegal. This is the distinguishing factor which has been created. No Megha, it is not necessary to learn sections and subsections. In any case, now you have objective type questions only in your examination. So there sections will not be asked much. Okay. Difference between a void agreement and an illegal agreement. So guys, all illegal agreements are void, but all void agreements are not illegal. So void agreement means agreements which do not have essential element of a contract. That is a void agreement. Illegal agreement means agreement where the objective is something which is beyond law. So if I take an agreement that I will kill another person, so killing another person is illegal. So all illegal agreements are void, but all void agreements are not illegal. So this is a line which you need to remember very, very carefully. Now we come on to quasi contracts. Quasi contract or quasi contract, pronunciation can be done in both way. Quasi contract or quasi contract means it is not really a contract, but its effect will be done as if the contract was made. Okay, it is not really a contract, but the effect will be it will be given as if the contract was made. So you can see Amitabh Bachchan's photo over here. This is real Amitabh Bachchan and this is duplicate Amitabh Bachchan. He always says hi, hi. He repeats Amitabh Bachchan's voice like Amitabh Bachchan, but he will never become Amitabh Bachchan because he is duplicate Amitabh Bachchan. Okay, even if he does hi in a very, very convicting manner, in a very conviction and with the same accent which Amitabh Bachchan uses, then also he will never become Amitabh Bachchan. Okay, but law says that A delivers goods to B, mistaking him to be C. So A delivers goods to B, but A had to deliver good to C. So you know Zomato comes. Okay, Zomato gives you food and you had ordered food from Zomato, but in place of you the food was received by your brother and your brother ate away the food. Now Zomato is saying pay me the money. Will you say that no, my brother ate that food, I was not the person who ate the food? Will you say this? Answer is yes, you will say this. And yes, your brother will be required to pay for Zomato. Although the agreement was between Zomato and you, but your brother will be required to pay the money because your brother had consumed the benefits of that particular contract. There was no contract between brother and Zomato. Was there any contract between brother and Zomato? No. Contract was between you and Zomato. But still, this is a quasi contract, which means this is like contract, and your brother will be required to pay money for the food which was ordered by you. And yes, you can tell me that sir, but our brother will never pay. It's just only we who have to pay. The younger brothers and sisters are always doing this thing. They always consume goods, but they never pay. I know, even I am elder. I have a younger brother, so I know younger brother and sisters never pay. They always tell their elder brother and sister to pay. So it's okay, guys. It's okay. Contingent contract. Contingent contract is a contract in which there is some event based on which the contract will be executed. Only when that event happens, which is uncertain, only when that event happens, that contract will be really executed. For example, you will get insurance money only when the fire breaks out. If fire doesn't breaks out, then you will not get the money. So contingent contracts are contracts which are fulfilled or which are executed only when something happens, something which is uncertain happens. Doctrine of privity of contract. So a third party cannot sue you for a contract. So I'll give you an example. A and B have entered into a contract. A doesn't fulfill the contract. So can B's brother C, B's brother is C, can C sue A? Can C sue A? I want answers in the chat box. Can C sue A? Answer is no. C cannot sue A because C is a third party to the contract. So the contract can be sued only by people who are present in that contract. Now the question is there any exception to this rule? Yes, there is exception to this rule. So in case of a trust, beneficiary of trust, if there is a beneficiary of trust, then that beneficiary can sue. Beneficiary of a trust can sue. So trust means there are two people, trustees and the trust owner. Trustees give their property to trust owner in favor of beneficiary. The agreement is between trustees and trust owner, but beneficiary can sue the trust owner for getting the benefits. Provision in marriage settlement. If there is a marriage settlement, then third party can sue in that marriage settlement. Third party can be the kids of the parents can sue the parents for their maintenance and stuff. Provision for maintenance or marriage expenses of female members under a family arrangement. So if family arrangement is happening between, say, the male members of the family, the female members can ask for maintenance. Then assignee of a contract. If a contract is being assigned from one person to another person, then the original contract was between A and B, but B assigned the contract to C. B makes beneficiary as C. So C can then sue A. Acknowledgement of liability. If someone acknowledges liability on someone else's behalf, then the other person can sue the third party. So if A and B have entered into an agreement, C says, okay, listen A, I will repay all the money which was due from B. So A can sue C because C becomes the acknowledger of the liability. C then can be sued by A. C is although a third party, he can be sued by A. Then in case of agency contracts, the agent can be sued, the principal can sue, enforce the contract, because principal, agent and third party. Agent has entered into a contract with third party. Principal is a third party. Principal is not privy to this contract, but still principal can sue the third party because agent and principal have got some kind of relationships. So principal can sue the third party for the agreement between agent and the third party. Okay, perfect. Then what are the remedies for breach of contract? If a contract is breached, then what are the remedies? What are the options available between both the parties? The options available are suit. Suit means legal case. For rescission. Rescission means to cancel the contract. Okay. The parties can claim that I don't want to continue with this contract. Please cancel the contract. Second option is claim for damages. If some party has suffered a loss, then it can say, no, don't cancel the contract, because if you cancel the contract, then the loss that I have suffered will be sunk cost for me. So I want damages. That is known as suit for damages. Then suit for quantum merit. Quantum merit means to the extent the work is done. So if you engaged a contractor to build a 4-story building, and after completing 1 story you said that no, this contract should not be continued, then that contractor can claim for whatever work is being done. Revenue will be claimed by that contractor. Suit for specific performance. You can be forced to perform the entire contract wholly. So contractor can sue you that no, you earlier required 4 floors, I will definitely construct 4 floors. You have to fulfill your obligation. You have to get the 4th floor constructed and I will get my money. So suit for specific performance. Suit for injunction. Injunction means stop. Injunction means to stop. So you can file a suit to stop a particular contract, to stop a particular person from doing something. The above one was to force someone to do something. Specific performance means to do. Injunction means to stop. So both remedies are available depending upon what kind of contract is there. You can force someone to stop doing something. You can force someone to do something in a particular contract. So remedies for breach of contract. If the contract is breached, then these remedies are available. Okay. So yes, now we come on to the test. The entire chapter is finished. Yes, I have briefly discussed the chapter. I have not discussed all parts of the chapters. Remedies means medicine. Remedies is equal to treatment. Yes, remedies means the options which are available with us to make good our loss. So if I have faced some problem, then what is there? Solution is a very good word. Solution, what solution we have, what options we have to make our loss good. So I have suffered some loss. What is the solution that I have to make that loss good? I want to recuperate my damages. So that is the solution which is available, the option which is available with me against the party who has done something wrong in a case of a contract. Okay. Okay guys, please open your cameras and now let us see who scores the maximum marks today. Let's see who's winner of the test today. Let's start the test and let's see who scores the maximum marks. Let's start the test. Open your cameras and only your register should be in front of you. Only the registers should be in front of you. Nothing else should be in front of you. And just open your cameras. So in the similar fashion, you will be sitting in front of the proctor. So you can see me, but you will not be able to see the proctor. But proctor will definitely have a look at you. And just look at Chirag's screen. He has changed his background. You are not allowed to change the background in examination. You have to have the plain background, the wall background which you have. You need to have plain wall background at the back side of your wherever you are sitting. Okay. Do not change your background. Otherwise, the proctor is going to object. Proctor is going to waste your time. So do not waste your time in anything which can land you in trouble. Do not do any jazzy stuff. Okay, question number 1.